Hello there, Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I am sharing even more products from the March release from Trinity Stamps, making some checkered Easter backgrounds, and I'm going to jump right in. I'm so excited about this. I love the checkered stencil from Trinity Stamps that came out in the February release. We had some stencils that you could layer with it, but today I wanted to use my stencil and add stamping to the openings. So for my first layer of stenciling, I'm using Parrot ink, and you can see what that looks like right here. Then I clean off my stencil, shift it over, and then bring in a lighter shade of ink. So this is bamboo ink, and I'll fill in those spots, and you can see this makes a perfectly checkered background thanks to the etching on the stencil that allows you to line it up so easily. Love it. Now to fill in those open spaces, I have the EGGstra stamp set. You can see there's solid egg stamps in this set, a large one and a small one. So I'm going to use the smaller solid image and stamp that with honeysuckle ink right into those openings. It fits perfectly. Now think of all the stamps in your stash that you could use to stamp in these openings. Little stars, snowflakes, candy canes. I mean, the sky's the limit. It would be so much fun to look through your stuff and find images that you could use to create your own custom checkered backgrounds, just like this. All right, for my next step, I am going to bring in my poppy ink and stamp over the top of those eggs with the solid or the outline image, sorry, and just give it a little more interest. Now, this will line up exactly, but if yours don't line up exactly like mine, it's okay. It's a total look, and I like it. So there it is, finished, and now we just need to stamp some things to go on the top of it. So now we have the sentiment from the EGGstra stamp set. You are extra special. I'm going to do a little ombre effect with the word extra by just inking up the bottom half of the word extra with that darker poppy ink, and I love how that turned out. It's so fun. All right, so then I'm going to stamp that same solid egg, and then over the top, this time I'm going to use black, and this is going to give me just some little extra pieces I can fill in the front of my card, and I love the black around it. So I figured these are going to be like the candy eggs on my card today. And then one more thing to stamp, and that is the sentiment again, because I want the your and the word special to be in green, because the dies for the set die cut out each word individually, and that's really cool because then I can arrange the word how I want on my card. You could stack them, you could do it horizontally. I'm going to stagger mine, so I think it's really fun that I have that option. Plus I can use these leftovers on another card another day. And for the other part of my card, I want some eggs that are big. So this is the bunny egg shaker die set. It creates this kind of bunny right here where the bunny's behind the egg holding it, and then you can make a shaker inside of that egg. I love it. So I'm not using this on today's card. I just wanted you to know what this set is for. All right, so for my solid large eggs, I'm going to create some speckled eggs. I'm going to use the same ink I used when stenciling my background. First, the green Parrot ink. I splattered a little bit by dragging the brush on the edge of my window sheet here, and then I put even more water so I could get some really big loose droplets. And so I love the mix of the two, the fine splatter and the big splatter. But you can see you just smoosh the ink pad onto this piece of plastic. This actually came out of my watercolor pencils from Tim Holtz. If you got those, this window sheet is such a good tool. It's nice and sturdy, and I've been using it all the time now. I love it. So same thing with that ink, and I'm making a really fun piece to die cut my eggs from. There's even a little bit of sparkle in this background because I use that same paintbrush for splattering sparkly things as well. So I have the large solid egg die here, and I can move that around so I can die cut out the exact area that I love the most from the background. And there's my two eggs. These are like the hard boiled, traditionally decorated Easter eggs on my card. First, I laid them out on my background, which I already adhered to my A2 size card, and glued them together how I liked them. Then I was able to put foam squares on the back and stick them down to my card. And then I can add in my sentiment. So since this is popped up, part of it's getting glued down, part of it's getting a foam square on the back where it touches the actual background of the card. This center one I am gluing straight down, and then also the word special there at the end. And I love that I was able to stagger these across those eggs. I added in my little candy eggs and glued them into place. They're really cute. I love that you could use these with so many things that you already own. These eggs will fill in any particular stamp set or whatever that you already have. So now I'm taking a piece of vellum and using this die right here to cut a little scalloped edge. This is from a window and like a stage and curtain die set that we have, so I'll make sure to link that for you guys below. And then I brought out this particular stamp set all cracked up because I love the Happy Easter from it. So I stamped that on some green cardstock and embossed it with white powder, and I thought this set was so cute. I ended up using some of it on my card. I'll show you that in a minute. But once I had this all ready to go for my card, die cut it out with this bubble cut die, I realized that the green cardstock just wasn't the perfect shade of green, and so I just took my parrot ink and dusted on some of that color right over the top. Now the ink is able to rub right off the embossing, and so I could just apply it right over the top, and then it matched my card perfectly. So I love this chick so much, I pulled out this other stamp set, Spring in My Step, that also has a chick in it, and decided this was going to be the finishing touch for this card. I mean, I said it in my last video, love is in the details, and these two are the love on this card. They make the card. I think without them it would be a fine card, but with them the card's super cute. I don't know. You tell me what you think about these chicks, because I think they're darling. They stole my heart. So I'm just coloring them out with my Copic markers, not doing too much ink blending except on the chicks themselves, where I used Y15 and Y04. Of course, I added some white gel pen highlights to them also. I die cut them out, and now we're ready to assemble the bottom half of the card. Now there is a reason that I'm adding this vellum strip, besides that it's so super cute. This background was originally made for a different card, but it did not go well with the thing I made to go on top. So I took that piece off and made it into another card, and then I had this background left and decided I had to make a background with it, or a card with it, because I loved the background so much. So there you can see the original card. The blue shaker just didn't go. I made a totally different card with that. So now let's move on to card number 2. I loved making this background so much, and I love those chicks. And there's another stamp set with another chick in it. So I decided I have to make another card. And what I love so much with this checkered background is that making it onto a colored piece of cardstock just adds so much depth and interest to it. So I took out a light piece of pink cardstock, added some saltwater taffy as my first color in Distress Oxide, which is the kind of ink I prefer stenciling with over colored cardstock, and then I pulled out Abandoned Coral for my second color. So you just need to clean off your stencil, shift it over, and there are etched lines that allow you to line it up just like that. Look how perfect that is. It's so yummy. I love it. So for this one, I am bringing back that Spring in My Step stamp set. It has a nice little flower and it fits perfectly in this opening, and I'm stamping it with saltwater taffy distress ink this time, filling in all the openings on this card. And don't worry about the bottom of this, the stencil not going all the way to the bottom, since it's a 6x6 and this panel is 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. I'm going to create my scene there at the bottom. And I filled in the center of the flowers with my R22 marker. It brings in that darker shade of color again, and I love it. So to build our scene, we're going to start with the Layered Lawn stamp set. This stamp set has 4 rows of lawn or grass that you can stamp individually, and you can also stamp all 4 of them on top of each other, layering them with different colors of ink to get different looks. And it is so very cool. The other cool thing about that is there are dies that cut across the top of the grass for all 4 of those rows of grass. There's also a 5th die. That die cuts out the grass when you stamp all 4 of the layers together. Yeah, I took a pause because that is so cool. I love it. So this is a set you can use with all the things that you already have in your stash. I love it. And the middle one that I stamped right there is the perfect Easter grass, I feel. I wasn't sure which grasses I wanted to use. That's why I stamped out 3, and I'm going to lay it out with my images and see which one I pick. Now here's the 3rd gnome stamp set, Gnome Bunny with another chick in it. But this chick, it's like the gnome is holding it. And so it's a separate stamp that you can stamp on top of the gnome, and it looks like he's holding the baby chick. It's so cute. There's also a second image in that set that looks like he's holding an Easter egg. So it's interchangeable, and that's so much fun. There's also dies to cut out the chick and the egg being held. So if you didn't want to stamp right on top of your image, you could die cut them separately and put it on top. So the choice is up to you. Now for coloring, I am using some C markers for his hat and his beard. The hat's going to be white, the beard's going to be gray, and I just didn't want to add a bunch of new colors into this. I like my cards matchy, and so I felt like gray was the way to go instead of introducing some brown or whatnot. And I think it paid off. So I'm doing a lot of shadowing around the little chick just to help it look like it's really being held there. Another thing that really helps it appear as if he's holding it is once you color everything. I guess in my mind, it's like, does that look right? Did I stamp it right? Does it look like he's holding it? But once I colored everything, it really brought it to life. So I love his cute little hat, how it's tied up to look like a bunny ears. It's so fun. Now for his skin, I'm using E02, and you can see I'm coloring really heavily in the center of his nose and then really lightly around the edge. Doing that allows me to get some shadowing and shading with only using one marker. So again, on the fingers, I'm coloring the bottom of the fingers really heavily and the tops very lightly, and there I go, a little bit of shadowing. For his shoes, I have some C8 as my darkest color, C6 as my mid-tone, and just blending that out, and then C4 as my darkest, or no, my lightest, lightest color. Yeah, just like that. So you'll see how much this comes to life with the chick colored. Isn't that so fun? And then I colored the rest of the chicks because you've already seen me do that. But for my green, I am using YG17 and YG05. There's a little bit of green on the flower there and then also on the eggs. So I wanted to make sure you saw the colors I used to color everything out. The egg with all the decoration on it was so easy to color. I barely did any ink blending on that. And then this little butterfly, I love, it's going to sit on top of one of the eggs. And that butterfly in the flower is also from the Gnome Bunny stamp set. I'll have all 3 of the sets linked for you below, and you can check out the visual supply list so you can see them up close and really look at what's in them. So I laid out all my stamped images just so I could figure out where I wanted to lay out the word Easter. And this is from the Big Easter Cut and Foil set. But I am just cutting out the word Easter and saving the little fallout pieces from the center of the A, the S, and the E so I can glue those back into place and give my word a little bit more detail. Here's the whole set, the shadow layer, the word, and the foil piece. Very fun. All right, so I added glue all around the word Easter on the back side of my panel and then added a window sheet to cover that up. That's going to give me a nice place so I can glue down those little fallout pieces that I saved, the center of the A, the S, and the E. So you just want to put a tiny amount of glue because the glue can really squish out when you're adding it to a window sheet. So there we have it. Now we need to build our reservoir, as I like to call it, for a shaker card, putting foam square all the way around the area where you want your shaker bits to be, but making sure that they touch on the ends and they meet up at the corners so your shaker bits don't escape, because it's not very fun when someone shakes your card and things unintentionally fall out. Sometimes you might want a card where a person picks it up and things fall out. My sister used to put confetti inside the cards she would send me, so when I opened it, stuff purposefully fell out. But I want this to stay in. So I am putting a second window sheet over the top of that area, and that's going to allow me to more easily glue this down to my card. A great idea that I got from my friend Cassie, who's also on the Trinity Stamps design team with me, and I use it all the time. It's such a great tip. All right, now I have my base glue down to my 5x7 card. I can start actually gluing down my little scene. I don't have the front piece of grass glued on yet because I want to arrange everything first. Also, there was a little gap where my grass met my other lower layer of grass that just showed too much white. So I smooshed the ink pad down onto my mat. I'm using a clear marker from Tombow and picking up that ink and just kind of filling that in a little bit so it's not so noticeable. You could also tuck another flower over there or egg or something. I am doing my sentiment now. This is from the All Cracked Up stamp set, the original stamp set that started the whole thing with the chicks. I stamped Hey Chick and Happy Easter with that parrot ink, and I'm die cutting it out with the coordinating dies. Now, I really only need the word happy from Happy Easter because you know I have that shaker thing going on. So I'm just going to cut off the word Easter and use the word happy. And then these are ready to go on the card. I'm going to glue them down, and I'm just gluing them one on top of the other so it's my sentiments are all in a row. And I love the little shaker element. I wasn't going to do that, but once I pulled the dies out, I was like, I got to. The idea came to me. Whenever you have an idea come to you and you're like, nah, it's fine. I can just, you know, die cut it, stick it down. But if you get an idea, like I had the idea to make a shaker window, I think you should always go for it. So there's my words of advice for today. And I stamped no gnome bunny loves you like I do on the inside. So it's a really cute sentiment that goes with it. So we've got Hey Chick, Happy Easter, Gnome Bunny loves you like I do. So there's my two cards with my checkered backgrounds featuring stamping and then just some really fun Easter stamping. I had so much fun making these cards. The little chicks made my day. They're so cute. So tell me your thoughts in the comments below. I love chatting with you. And if you like these videos featuring the brand new stuff from Trinity Stamps, let me know because I have a few more I might sneak in next week. So stay tuned for that. And if you like card making videos like this and paper crafting fun, stay tuned. I'll have a new video for you tomorrow, and I will be back again very soon with even more videos. So if you're new here, I would love for you to consider subscribing and following along with me. I'll see you guys very soon. Happy stamping! Bye!